Hello and welcome. This is our Inspire and Aspire workshop, and today we have uh, Tamira Hamilton. She's going to be sharing about Pinterest and all the ways we can use it to boost our lives and our businesses. And I'm just going to hand it right over to her. I can't wait to hear all the things we're going to do today.
All right. Well, I can't wait either. I am going to share my screen here in just a second, but first I wanted to say thank you to Stephanie. We are both members of a connection company, and the power of that connection is that you get some really great opportunities to collaborate. And so when the vast majority of my dot sisters ask, I say yes. And she asked and even said, why don't you talk about Pinterest? Because I do work with clients and coach clients on Pinterest, and I have a Pinterest course. And so we will hop right into the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see if we can get this to play the way I want it to play. So I believe you can see my screen. You can see. All right. So the course that I've created is Pin Profits Mastery, and the entire premise behind this is your pins should sell while you rest, right? Because I have been an online marketer. I've been in the digital marketing space since 2013. And what drove me to the digital marketing space was I got burned out in corporate. I was overworked, underpaid, used and abused, overlooked for promotion. And I wanted to create something so that I didn't know it at the time. A year later, my first grandchild would be born, but so that I could spend more time with my children, so that I have all these beautiful nieces and nephews that I wanted to spend more time with. And now I have great nieces and nephews, and I know my personality. I go all in on the things that I love and am passionate about. So being able to design something where I am doing what I love, but not at the sake of those that I love. And so we'll talk a little bit about my Pinterest journey. And today, the title of the presentation is The Pinterest Traffic Fix: How to Repurpose Content for Leads in 10 Minutes a Day. And I can't remember if I said it or not, but my name is Tamira Hamilton. I have over going on 33 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. I always know how many years it is because I have a daughter who was just a couple months old when I actually started interning in marketing for a major company, Household Brands, a household brand that most of you probably know by name and have used some of their products or grew up with their products in your home. And so I had over 22 years of corporate experience when I started in the digital marketing space. And what I found was, even with a bachelor's and multiple master's degrees, I needed to learn digital marketing because you know what? They didn't talk digital marketing when I got my degrees, okay? And I even had the practical work experience, but we just really didn't get into the digital marketing aspect of it. So I set out on a journey to really learn and master digital marketing. And because I had the foundation, not only book wise, but actual skill set, I was a quick study. And so I had things up and rolling by 2014. But one of the things I did that first summer of 2013 was I caught the magic of Pinterest, and I started pinning like crazy. And that was like in June. By September, I'm starting to notice that I've got some pins that are going wildly viral. And so where I had been kind of doing it more so for fun and just to kind of like, I feel like this is a good thing. Now I know I need to develop a strategy. Now I know I need to double down on Pinterest. And I did. And back then I was probably pulling in about 250,000 views a month on Pinterest, which was a lot. And the amount of traffic that I was getting to my little blog, TamiraHamilton.com, which was a beauty blog at the time, and my Haute Chocolat blog, was pretty massive. It was pretty impressive. And so I always believed in the power of Pinterest. Well, things evolve, right? And so as things evolved, what I found was my Pinterest strategy had to evolve. And that happened around 2018, 2019. But just to back up 1 second, one of the things that I fell in love with Pinterest right away was because I didn't have to be on it all day, every day. Bounce on one leg, bark like a dog, say the ABCs frontwards, backwards in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, right? I didn't have to do all these things to please a quote unquote algorithm. I could just get my pins out there and let them cook, as the kids say, right? Let them cook. And then boom, I would get traffic and I was collecting leads and I was converting leads. And y'all, I'm talking about like orders for beauty products of like $600 to people that I never spoke to, that wouldn't know them if I saw them on the street, and from all around the world, places that I have yet to visit, like Monaco, right? Like the UK. Some of it was intentional. I purposely I strategically focused on Canada and the UK because of the company that I was partnered with at the time, but I was getting reach beyond that. And people were from like the continent of Africa, people were reaching out to me and wanting to buy from me, right? So I was sending them to a global website. So Pinterest was a great thing for me. And then I noticed around 2017, 2018, things started to slow down. And that was because Pinterest was evolving and it was moving more into trying to compete with Snapchat, right? Everybody was trying to compete with Snapchat back then. If you really know the timeline, that's when Instagram rolled out with stories. And so Pinterest rolled out with their idea pins, which was to be their answer to stories. And so I learned from my mistake on Instagram because I had a lot of success with Instagram also. I learned from my mistake with Instagram. I took too long hopping on stories. There's really no such thing, but you know what I mean. And so I hopped on it right away and I went from like a 250,000 monthly views within probably 6 months to 3 million monthly views. The problem was at that time, you could not link your idea pin to your blog or to your sales page or to your lead magnet. And then now, 2 years ago in May, they changed that. And remember, this entire time, people have been begging me for a course. And I wouldn't do it because while I was loving getting the views, I couldn't do anything with them if I couldn't send them to a website, if I couldn't, get them to be a lead. And you need that to be as frictionless as possible, meaning they can just click through. So since then, Pinterest is evolving again, and they're much more into social commerce, shoppable video, and static pins still do very well. So that is my story with Pinterest and why I am so passionate about and love Pinterest the way that I do. Okay. So just a thought. Before you pin that next recipe, have you pinned for your business today? I want you to just kind of like pause and think about that. You can even enter it in the chat what your answer is. Before you pin that next recipe, have you pinned for your business today? And one thing you'll know about me is I'm pretty strategic on the strengths finder. I score high and deliberate, right? I'm deliberate and I deliberate, okay? And so there's a reason why I'm asking this question. Okay. What I find is when I am talking to my ideal client about Pinterest, they fall into one of three categories. So I want you to tell me if you're A, B, or C. A, pins at least frequently, but never to support or grow your business growth. B, you started an account years ago and have since abandoned it. Or C, you've never been on Pinterest and don't understand it. So let me know in the chat which one you are. I see a B, okay? Over here, I see some C's. Okay, I see a couple A's. Okay. All are perfectly good answers, and I have solutions for them all. Okay? There's no wrong answer here. Notice there was not a D. Don't talk to me about Pinterest because if that's how you feel, thank you for being here, but you can kindly, go about your day. There's no need for you to be here for the rest of the presentation. Okay? Not to be rude, but we always keep it real over here. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that Pinterest equals searchable traffic machine hiding in plain sight. Pinterest is not social media. That is why you can post your pin and let it cook, as the kids say, right? I have a grandson who just turned 11, so he's, been kind of prepubescent for a few years, and we're going to have a full-on teenager here in a couple years, and he starts middle school next fall. I cannot believe my baby is starting middle school. So I know a little bit of the terminology. You let it cook, right? So there are, as of they just released their first quarter earnings because they are a publicly traded company last week, and I was on the call. Pinterest is now at 570 million active monthly users per month. So that means Pinterest is a major player, y'all. But Pinterest is not social media. Pinterest is a visual inspiration search engine. And we're going to dig a little deeper, not too deep, on that in just a moment. 69% of its users identify as female. There's diversity among ages as well as demographics. And when I first put this report together 2 years ago, it was like 76% female. So more and more men are joining Pinterest. We're going to talk about my brother really quickly, not just because he's my brother, but because he's relevant to this story, right? Because he's one of my biggest supporters and one of my biggest fans. Don't get all emotional here, right? And my brother is a guy's guy. He's one of the sweetest people you know, but he's into his boats. He's into fishing. He's into hunting. And the guy is on Pinterest. And we were at my niece's like 18th birthday breakfast, and he's like, "Oh yeah, how's your Pinterest course going?" And he starts telling me about how he loves Pinterest, and I'm like, "Hold on, wait a minute. I gotta pull out my phone so I can record this." And it's over on my YouTube because I was amazed at what he told me. He's on there and he's looking for deer hunting stands. He's looking for camel clothes for when he's hunting. He's looking for things on like, at one point he was considering raising chickens in the backyard because you could do that in the city, just not have a rooster. So he's telling me all these reasons how he, as a manly, quote unquote, man, a guy's guy, is using Pinterest. And the only reason I say that because I don't want you to think it's just the days that are on Pinterest. It is everyone. It is diverse. It's not just the creative types. It's not those that are into fashion, not the metrosexuals or whatever the word for them is today. It is everyone who is on Pinterest. In fact, there were chicks that when I talked to them about this that are into hunting, they go hunting, they do the fishing and all of that. And they're like, I never thought to look for that on Pinterest. Well, now you know, okay? There are 2 million monthly searches on the platform itself. And people go on there looking for discovery, they have intent. When you think search and people are searching, they have a high intent. They're looking for information, they are making a purchase, they are in the planning stages. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Over 80% of Pinterest users have made a purchase based on the content they discovered on Pinterest. I'm going to say that one again because I need you to really embody that, right? Over 80% of Pinterest users have made a purchase based on the content they discovered on Pinterest. 45% have incomes of over 100K per year. So we're talking higher education levels, we're talking higher income levels, right? And 80% of the audience is outside the US. And as of their latest quarterly report, 42% of its user base is now Gen Z. If you've been following me for some time and you've seen my other presentations, you know how I have been talking about Gen Z and the importance of understanding Gen Z and going where Gen Z is going. And I told you they were going to Pinterest, and the data has validated that. 42% of their user base is on Pinterest. In fact, their CEO, Bill Reedy, recently did a little talk about that on Bloomberg. So, what this means for you is if your content isn't searchable, it's invisible. right? We live in a time where the algorithms are much more focused on social commerce, i.e., TikTok, shop, and affiliate, right? YouTube now has shop. Amazon, I'm not Amazon, they clearly are shop. Facebook, I don't know what they're doing with it, but they've dabbled with it over the years. Platforms are looking to diversify their income because most of them are publicly traded and they have stockholders that they need to create dividends for. Right? An upside to that stock value. And so if what's happening is organic reach has been declining steadily over the years and it's going to continue to because they either want you to pay for an ad or you need to be the product helping them generate social commerce revenue. That's just it is what it is, right? And remember, Pinterest is a visual search engine. If your content is not searchable, it is invisible. And you are seeing that more and more each day. So this is one of my favorite slides, right? Because one of the things I just said is Pinterest is part of the planning stages, right? So when you look at this chart, and I got this directly from Pinterest, I took a screenshot of one of their presentations on YouTube. When you look at it from a time continuum, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram are what your ideal client has done in the past, i.e., that was a fun festival. What they are currently doing in the present is Snapchat, Threads, and X. I am currently at a festival. And what they are going to do next, what they are planning to do next, they are on Pinterest searching for. I'm going to let that one sit again for just a second because we don't have a lot of time. Right? So when you think about a festival, when you're at the festival itself, that's when people tend to be using Snap. That's when they tend to be, I still call it tweeting or posting threads about what is actually happening. And actually threads I think is a lot more think pieces, but it's still figuring its identity out, right? But the future, I'm planning the best festival experience happens on Pinterest. So, where you remember when we said which one are you? Are you A, B, or C? Most people consider Pinterest for they think when they think of Pinterest, they think crafts, right? Comment and let me know what you think of when you think Pinterest. They think crafting, they think beauty, they think DIY, they think home inspiration and decor. And yes, it is all of those things, but I can also tell you that real estate marketing has been trending for 2 years. Mary Kay marketing has been trending for 2 years. Esthetician marketing, esthetician room. Finance is one of the top areas that is blowing up on Pinterest right now. People want to know how to budget. They're looking for budget-friendly recipes. And Bill Reedy talked about that, the CEO, when he did that Bloomberg um, interview. So they may be looking for budget-friendly recipes, but they're still planning to, you know, make a nice purchase and have a nice experience because pinners tend to enjoy experiences when they go to Coachella, when they go to Lollapalooza. So they're willing to cut back on some of those daily essential type purchases. But then when it comes to starting a business, when it comes to their first apartment or a home or buying a home as they matriculate through life, as they are planning for a baby shower or a bridal shower, they are going to spend a little bit more money than other consumers. Your ideal client, I can guarantee you your ideal client is on Pinterest. And it befuddles me that they are and you aren't. I'm just keep it real. It compuzzles me. Okay. So let's talk about Facebook reach. We already kind of touched on this a little bit. It's just not what it used to be. Instagram is trying to bring it back a little bit, but I think their algorithm has gone rogue on them, and I think they're having a tough time reeling it back in. Pun intended. Okay. So we know that organic reach on Facebook and Instagram has been on the decline for quite sometime. And based on different remarks and things that have been made this year, we're not going to get into politics and all of that. I just don't see it really coming back the other way anytime soon. It's really just kind of a mess, right? So it's just not what it used to be. Okay. So likely when it comes to like Facebook and Instagram, you're probably burnt out from creating reels. I tried that game myself. Creating 3, 5 reels a day is a hard life. It's a very hard life, right? I've never been an algorithm chaser. Um, Stephanie said she thought of haircuts and decor. I was going to say decor, like I'm so bougie. So glad to have you educate on the alternatives. Thank you. Right? I've never been an algorithm chaser. My mantra is you are the brand, you are the content, you're the algorithm. And as we're going to discuss, the content is already in your phone, right? But chasing algorithms, that's no way to really build a business. And it's a surefire way to lead to burnout because to me, burnout is your nervous system is just shot to hell because you are out of alignment and you keep chasing what is out of alignment instead of getting back in alignment. And for me, I've always had that alignment with no, these are my business goals. Even if it doesn't give me the most reach, it's still going to give me strategic reach and get me in front of the right people, not just a bunch of people. Okay. And we've already talked about this. You let Pinterest cook. And if you're not on Pinterest, you keep posting ephemeral content, posts with no shelf life. Within a couple hours, it's dead. I had one post in particular, I've had several, that I had one post that I know I put up in September of 2013. That bad boy was still driving traffic to my blog in 2018 and a bolt ton of traffic each month. So when I figured out what to post on Pinterest, it was on. It was absolutely on. And that was why I was able to get to 3 million monthly views. So when it comes to all of the other platforms, may the algorithm be ever in your favor, right? May the algorithm, I love that from what was it with J Law, the Mockingbird, that book series that they turned into movies. It's always a good day to grow your business on Pinterest. And here's just some social proof. I couldn't find the snapshot of exactly 3 million, but here's the 2.7 million, which if you round it up is 3, but I actually hit 3 million. I think I actually peaked at like 3.4 million. And at that time, that was more views than some other accounts and influencers who were much bigger than I am was getting. So keep in mind, you are already on Pinterest. Now imagine actually using it to build your audience, collect leads, and explode your own business growth because it's absolutely possible. So I'm going to give you the strategy. The secret to winning at Pinterest when you are short on time, now rebranded as the Pinterest traffic fix, okay? That strategy really is around the 3 R's, right? If you post an old post, you have the potential to turn it into at least 3 pins. If you don't have a blog, you can use old captions. And what you're going to do is you're going to repurpose, reshare, and redistribute. So let's talk about the TikTok to Pinterest pipeline, for example. If you have TikToks, especially like TikTok shop, TikToks, right? The short form videos, usually a minute or less for shop. Why not take those and upload them to Pinterest, and then you can link back to your TikTok video because Pinterest allows you to do that and drive uh, traffic back to TikTok. Same with your reels. Why not upload your reels and drive traffic back to Instagram? In fact, you can claim your Instagram on TikTok, but you'll learn that in Pin Profits Mastery. But then also make some modifications, repurpose that TikTok, and now you can upload it to Pinterest and link to your Amazon influencer store. You can go and create it and put it up there again and link to your LTK, your like to know it. You can repurpose it, reshare it, and redistribute it as many times as you want onto Pinterest. One of the things I love to do is I like to take my high performing social media content and embed it into a blog post on TamiraHamilton.com, and then I create pins driving traffic to that blog. Now that's a power SEO strategy, just so you know. That's some power search engine optimization right there. Because by taking high performing social media content and embedding it on a blog, I am now driving authoritative traffic to my blog, which signals to not only Google, because search is changing, y'all. More and more search is being done through ChatGPT and AI. So the higher authority that your blogs and your websites have, the better for you. But remember, if your content isn't searchable, it's invisible. So I predict that there's going to be a resurgence in blogging. So it only makes sense how to use the content you've already posted on Facebook to create an income on Pinterest. And I share through 6 modules how to do this in Pin Profits Mastery, right? We walk you through the SEO, making sure everything is optimized. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? We walk you through the buyer's journey. That's one of my favorite modules in becoming a monetized magnet. And here's the type of content you create to generate leads. Here's the type of content you create to build community. Here's the type of content you create to actually convert. Though most conversions are going to happen offline. That's true of all social media, especially when you have the right strategy. And you want that so that you know who to follow up with, because a small portion are going to convert and you still want to keep building that trust with those that didn't. Okay. So it's 6 modules. It's just been improved. And I'm so proud of this with a custom GPT. What I did was they updated Dolly on Chat GPT about a month ago, which is their GPT that generates images for you, right? And I love this because I'm a creative person, but I'm not the most creative person. So I can kind of have an image, but doing all the graphic design or drawing it, that's just not, God didn't give me that. I kind of know what I want. I want it to have these colors. I want it to look like this. Now I want you to look at these 3 images. You see the colors are the same. One is more geared toward Gen Z. The others are more toward millennials and Gen X. I should have asked that instead of give it away. But you can see the colors in that are the same. I created a custom GPT to make creating pins that are optimized and clickable easier for those who purchased Pin Profits Mastery from me. The only way to get this is to be in Pin Profits Mastery. And so these pins, my pins always do well. And Pin Profits Mastery is based off of what I do to my pins to make them do well, because clearly I know how to create pins that do well with 3.4 million monthly views at my peak. Would you agree? I mean, I think I must know a little something, right? And so I turned that into a course. And then I turned it into a PDF guide to modernize it with the generative AI. And then I decided, you know what, I need to take it a step further, because my ideal client is a little burned out. You see that word on the screen, scale without burnout. And I need to make it easier for her. How can I make it easier for her? Because I get asked a lot about being a Pinterest manager or social media manager, and absolutely not. I'm not the one for that. So how can I be a social media manager? How can I be a Pinterest manager without being a Pinterest manager? That is my Pin GPT, my custom bot. And let me tell you, these pins are doing a lot better than my normal pins. All right. because I've done it all. I've created templates and included templates, but it can't get any easier than using this custom GPT, and it is only inside of Pin Profits Mastery. Now, we also give you Chat GPT prompts to help you repurpose, reshare, and redistribute your existing content that is out there, which is where I actually suggest that you start. But I'm going to tell you something that I shouldn't tell you that normally only people inside of Pin Profits Mastery know, and that is videos are going to get you views. So if you get video from other platforms onto Pinterest, you will get some, especially to like Amazon, like to know it, Target, and things like that. People will click through and buy from those. But if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, your conversion pins are going to be static. They're going to be the pins that Pin GPT will create for you. Okay. So I have one more slide, and that is where you can find me. I didn't come here to pitch you on the course. I just wanted to show you how it all comes together. Here's where you can find me. My email is there, where you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also text me. And if you are interested or want more information on Pin Profits Mastery, I am more than happy to share it with you in that way. And I will take any questions if there are questions. Wow, that is awesome. I need to re-engage with Pin Profits. Yeah. It really is the future of marketing. Pinterest, I always think of that Wayne Gretzky quote of being where the puck is going to be, and Pinterest is where the puck is going to be. As Facebook continues to reduce organic reach, which it creates a conundrum for them because they want to reduce organic reach so that they can raise the pricing on ads, but the more they do that, the less they have monthly active users, and so it's just like this constant seesaw, right? And I don't like being caught in somebody's constant seesaw. I'd rather take more control and hedge my bets, and Pinterest is how I do that, right? Because people don't understand when it comes to web traffic, there are actually three buckets. There's paid, so your paid traffic, like ads to Pinterest, which actually has the lowest, I mean, the highest return on ad spend. You can run ads on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, right? There's earned, which is social media. When you abide by the social media rules and you put out content that people want and engage with and share, then you get more visibility and reach. But they still control it, and they can still throttle you and, play games with it. And then there's owned. That's your blog, right? And your blog can kind of be twofold because you own it in as much as you can own it because your host can still shut you down, and then you just have to go find another host. But it's also twofold because now you can drop it onto something like Pinterest, and you're getting that organic traffic from Pinterest, and you can even run ads to drive traffic to your blog from Pinterest, from Facebook, from LinkedIn, even. So, you have to know that there are those three buckets because there are a lot of people who like to, oh, I don't pay for ads, and I'm like, I don't know what made you think that was a flex. It's not the flex you think it is. Because truly, to scale a business strategically in a way that you can control it, you have to run paid traffic. And that's an MBA talking to you. 33 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience, Fortune 500, 200, 100, and Fortune 20. Major brands that use, love, and have grown up with. If you want scale, you're going to have to run paid traffic. But it's strategy. And it's not the flex you think it is to say, oh, I did it all with organic traffic. And all that tells me is that you could be doing more and you're not. Just keeping it real. So let's see if there are any questions. Pen Profits Mastery is $555. There are payment plans that are available. and you can do that through Klarna or Afterpay, and it usually is a 4-pay. Some people have gotten up to 6 months financing, so that was a great question. But you get immediate access, because I see another question on whether or not it is live training, and it's not. It is actually pre-recorded. It was originally recorded live, but it is all now pre-recorded, and it is self-study at your own pace. And every now and then, like in June, I'm likely to do some special things because it's the second anniversary of Pin Profits Mastery, and that's probably going to be some sort of either live training and or office hours where we get on Zoom and I work with you and help you probably around using Pin GPT. And you do get lifetime access. There's actually $2,200 worth of bonuses in there that I keep saying I'm going to take away, and I haven't yet. So you better grab it before those bonuses go away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tamira, for doing this. This
You're
was,
very welcome.
as always, amazing. I love when you teach your classes, and I'm so grateful to have you do this for me. So for the
Thank you.
community. Exactly. And yeah, we'll put this in the library so people will have resources of it and be able to check it out at their own pace, and hopefully even as new members get into the community, they'll connect with you. So
I
yeah,
love it. Thank you so much for having me. And
thank
if you
you.
enjoyed this, I will be back in September and we will talk about storytelling, because
Yes.
storytelling is a great way to increase your reach
Yeah,
on on social media as well as to convert. So very excited,
absolutely.
and I'm very grateful to you for the opportunity, Stephanie.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
So do I
Just have
end it or
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I think you're recording. I don't think I could get to for some reason, none of the things would come up when I was in the car.
okay.